We continue now at the top of Daf Mem Zayin Amud Beis Meseches Bava Basra. This is Bava Basra Daf 47b. On the previous Amud, the Gemara said that normally a wife is not able to make a chazak in the property of her husband because we assume that she can be on that property anyhow. It's not an indication that she's the owner. And the Gemara said that if she's divorced from the husband, then she could make a chazaka. And the Gemara said that seems obvious. If she's divorced from the husband, so she has no relationship with the husband, of course she can make a chazaka. And the Gemara answers the chiddush is that we're talking megureshes ve'ena megureshes. She's divorced, but she's not really divorced. The Rashbam explains megureshes ve'ena megureshes kagon zarak laget. For example, a case can be he throws her a get, suffik karov lo, and it's a doubt whether it was closer to her or closer to him. So she's not really. It's a suffix whether she's divorced. In that case, the bala chay b'mizonoseha ad yoiv laget. The halach over there is that the husband has to continue to provide mizonos for her. He has to provide support for her until he gives her the get vada, until he certainly gives her the get. So that would be a situation where we're saying again that she's considered divorced and she is able to make a chazaka. As the Gemara now continues, Rabbi Zera, it's like Rabbi Zera says, the Amar Rabbi Zera, because Rabbi Zera says, Amar Rabbi Yomi Gemara, that Rabbi Yomi Gemara says, Amar Shmuel, that Shmuel says, Kol makom shamru chachamim megoreshes ve'ena megoreshes. Anytime the chachamim say that the woman is divorced but not divorced, again a suffix megoreshes, ba'al chayiv b'mizonoseha, that husband is still chayiv to provide for her support. And so again, that's the chiddush, that in that situation, even where she's only divorced to that level, she is still able to make a chazaka. As the Rashbam here continues, Rabbi Zera, it's like Rabbi Zera says, v'ikol amemer kaven de megoreshes ve'ena megoreshes ishtahi. You could have said that since she's divorced but not really fully divorced, she's still his wife, v'chayev b'mizonoseh, and again he's still chayev to give her support. V'hiniach labal karkazu biyada kidei shetizon miperoseh. You might think maybe that's why she's on the land, because it's part of her support to get support from the produce. V'lo have a chazaka. You might therefore think she cannot make a chazaka. Kamash malan to have a chazaka. So that's what it's teaching us, that really it is a good chazaka. To kaven to hischil begerishin, since he began to divorce her, v'husonei lo, and he hates her, lo yichad la karka l'mizonoseh. He's not going to give her land for her support. Ki v'torach yitan la mizonos b'tzimtzum. He's going to give her just the smallest amount, the exact amount that he has to give her, kishayachayvuhu bezin, as the bezin obligates him to, but he's not going to do any more than that. And so therefore, again, that's why she is able to make a chazaka on his property. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Nachman says, Amar li Huna said to me, Rav Huna said to me, Kulan shehiviu rai, in all of these cases, if they bring evidence, we mean to say, as Rashbam says, v'chulan uman v'aris, all of these people that are not able to make a chazaka, like a craftsman or a sharecropper, but all of them, if they bring raya, if they bring evidence, as the Rashbam says, raya shtar mechira, let's say they have a document of sale that shows that the property is theirs. Oede mechira, let's say they have witnesses that witness the sale that say that the property is theirs. In all of these cases, kulan sheviu raya, rayasan raya, that evidence is considered good evidence. The Rashbam says this is obvious. Rayasan raya milsa depshita, this is obvious. And mishum seifa nakala, we're just saying it because there's going to be a case in contrast coming up. Umamidin sada biyadim, we would allow them through that evidence to have the field in their possession. But in contrast, gazlan shevi raya, if a thief, if he tries to bring a raya evidence that the land is his, ein rayaso raya, the evidence is not considered to be evidence. Ve'ein ma'amidin sada biyada, we would not put the field in his possession. And the Rashbam says, Gazlan Shehevi Raya, if a Gazlan brings proof, means to say Eidei Mechira. We mean specifically to say witnesses who see the sale, or Eidei Hodar, or let's say witnesses who say there was an admission that it's his, Aval Matan Mos Lo Ro. Now it has to be that they didn't actually see the giving of the money, as the Rashbam will say, the Rashbam's opinion, if he gave the money already, you have witnesses to that, then the Gazlan, that actually would be good evidence for the Gazlan. Ein Rayaso Raya, again by a Gazlan, the evidence is not considered to be evidence. Rav Kahana, like Rav Kahana says, the ilav the odilei o shekasav lo shtar mechira have a mam dilei lechamer l'shachvar. We quoted this earlier. Rav Kahana says that people are scared of a gazlan. They're afraid that if they don't do what he says, he's going to bring them to the taskmaster. Essentially, he's a violent person, and so therefore it's not really evidence because they're just doing it because they feel they are forced. And the Rashbam continues, Avolim nosan lo hagazlan mo'os b'fnei edim. Now, in contrast, let's say the gazlan gave money in front of witnesses, so then actually the Rashbam says rayaso raya. That actually would be considered good evidence. Kid Rav Huna l'kamei, we'll see that coming up according to Rav Huna. Diamar to lo yuhu v'zavin zvine, because Rav Huna says that if you force a sale, even a forced sale is considered to be a sale. In any case, the Gemara has said now that again, if the gazlan brings the proof, it's not a proof. Ve'in ma'amidin sada biyada, we don't put the field in his possession. And the Gemara says, my kamashman, well, what is that teaching us? Tanina, we already learned that in a Mishnah. This is from Meseches Gittin. It says, Lokach mi sikrikon. If a person purchases from sikrikon are essentially gazlonim, non-Jewish thieves. They kill still over money. And so if you buy from them, it's not really considered like they really have ownership. So if a person buys from them, even if he goes ahead and also purchases it from the prior owner, the one that they took it from, still mecho batel. Still we say that the sale is not a good sale, because again, the balabais just does this because he feels that he is under threat. And the point is, it seems to be exactly the same as what we're saying, as what we said right before. We said that if a gazlan brings a raya, it's not good evidence. We just assume that it was forced, and that's what the Mishnah in Gittin is essentially saying. And so therefore the question is, what exactly is Rav Huna teaching us with this if it's already a Mishnah? And the Gemara says, well, he's teaching us la fuke midarav. He's teaching us to exclude from what Rav said. The Amar Rav, because Rav had a limitation. Rav said, lo shanu el da'amar le chazeko kani, that this halach in the Mishnah in Gittin is only true if the prior owner, just all he said was, go make a chazak and acquire the land. Aval bishtar kana, but Rav said, but if the prior owner would give it to this person with a document, actually then he would acquire it. And so that was a sort of a limitation that Rav put on the Mishnah, and Rav Huna is going further than Rav. Kamash Mulan Kedishmuel, Rav Huna is teaching like Shmuel. The Amar who says, Af bishtar nami lo kana, even if the prior owner gives a document, that also does not create a kinyan, at sheyichtov achrayis nechasim, unless he actually writes achrayis nechasim. If he gives them the property, plus he says he takes responsibility, let's say one of his creditors takes away the land from this person, then he's going to take responsibility. So if he writes achrayis nechasim already, then we say that the sale is serious. And the Gemara continues, Rebbe Messiah Bo Mishmei Rav Nachman. Rebbe, he concluded this halacha in the name of Rav Nachman as follows: Karka Einlo, that when it comes to this gazlan, he brings evidence. We say that even though he brings evidence, that's not enough to get the land. He doesn't get the land. That's true. Avol Moos Yeshlo, however, he would get the money. Means to say, let's say he gave over money, he would get the money back. B'medvar Mamurim, when is this true? Sha'amru Eidim b'faneinu monelo. That's if Eidim say, we saw in front of us, he actually counted out the money. Then he would be entitled to the money. Avol Amru Eidim, but if the Eidim just say b'faneinu hodelo, then in front of us he admitted that he owes the money, lo. So then no, he wouldn't necessarily say he gets the money. Kid Rav Kahana, like Rav Kahana said, the Amr, because Rav Kahana said, Ilav the Odile, if he doesn't admit to him, have a mamtim leila didei l'chamri l'shach, where he's going to bring him and his donkey to the taskmaster. That's just a coerced kind of admission that doesn't count. But if the Eidim actually say we saw him count out the money, then he would be entitled to the money. And the Rashbam explains, Avol Mos shenosan lo hagazlan lenigzal, the money that the gazlan gives to the nigzal, b'dmei karkazu, as a payment for this land, yeshlo, that he is entitled to, sheyachzirem lo hanigzal, the nigzal should return that money, v'lo kansinan le legazlan la'abed ma'osav, we don't find the gazlan that he now loses his money. And the Rashbam points out, v'shaminan mehacha, now we see from here, from what Rav Beve says, to svira leila Rav Beve telayu v'zavin lav zvine zvine, that apparently Rav Beve holds that a forced sale is not a good sale, because here you have a situation where there's actually money involved, money being given, and we're saying it's not a good sale. He gets back the money, but he doesn't get the land. V'hainu damrina l'kamon, that's what we're going to say later on. De Rav Huna, less le de Rav Beve. Rav Huna does not hold like Rav Beve, because Rav Huna says teluya v'zavin is considered a good sale. A forced sale is considered to be a good sale. And the Rashbam continues, B'medevar mamurim, when do we say the mos yeshlo, that the gazlan is entitled to the money back? That's if the Eidim say that we saw that he counted out the money, the gazlan counted out the money to the nigzal, v'nasan lo hamos, he gave him the money, or they write into a document, we saw that he gave him the money. The mishum pachad, the sikrikon, just because of the fear of the sikrikon, the gazlan, lo misadi v'kosvu Eidim shikr, they're not going to testify or write something that is false, so that already we would believe. But the Rashbam continues, Avol amru Eidim b'fanenu hodelo, but if the witnesses simply say that in front of us the nigzal admitted, nigzal legazlan, the nigzal admitted to the gazlan, shekival mimenu hadamim, that he received money, or shekaso v'shtar hamechira, or they write in the document of sale, v'kach omar lonu, this is what he said to us, havu alai edim shekibalti mimenu hadamim, your witnesses that I received the money, umacharti lo, and I sold it to him, lo yachzer lo mos legazlan. In that case, we're not going to return the money to the gazlan again. Like we said, we assume that in this situation it was a coerced admission. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Huna says, to layu v'zavin zvine zvine, if you have a forced sale, that is considered a good sale. This is the Rav Huna that was quoted by the Rashbam. My time, and what's the reason? Called to mazvin inish, anytime a person sells something, ilav da'onis lo have a mazvin, if not for the fact that he was forced, he's in some kind of desperate situation, he wouldn't sell. So already all sales are in some way considered to be forced. V'afilu hachi zvine zvine, nevertheless it's considered a sale, and so therefore that's true in this case as well. But the Gemara continues, v'dil mashani onsa denafshe me onsa da'achrini. Maybe it's different different when you have an onus of himself, meaning some circumstance that he has that's forcing him to sell. Maybe that's different than someone else that's coercing him. How do you know to extend it even in a situation where someone's coercing him? And the Gemara says, Ella rather kedetanya, it's like we learned in a Brisa, and the Bach has a slightly different girsa, midatanya, from that which we learned in the Brisa, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Memches Amud Aleph.